The first person that signed up is Steve Johnson. If you come up to the microphone, please.
Yes, first 10 minutes is not long enough for everybody
Okay,
here
first
to
of all,
speak.
can you please sit down by the microphone so you can be heard over the speaker system? Thank you.
10 minutes is not nearly long enough to hear everybody who wants to speak. I'm a libertarian, and I want to pursue happiness the way that I see it. I don't want the government telling me how I'm going to be happy. I don't want them telling me how I'm going to meditate or pray. I don't want the government telling me how I'm going to be gracious or have gratitude. That's exactly what this Orange Frog Initiative is doing. It's outrageous. The last time that I was here, you asked for money for the school board or for the schools, and spoke many of you how desperately we need money for the schools. Any money that you're proposing for this Orange Frog got to go to our schools. The role of the government is to plow our roads, fund our police. It's not to teach me how to be happy. Thank you.
All right, Dieta Moose.
So the Orange Frog program promotes happiness, and we can all agree on happiness. But what will future philosophies be promoting? Nazi Germany did a good job of promoting a philosophy in their youth as well, and it was fun, it was exciting, and that's just kind of the road that this could take us. So my concern again is about what is the precedent that we're setting here? So this may be an innocent precedent right now, but what will future generations bring about? Our government was formed with boundaries that limit it. Although promoting happiness may seem like a good idea, it clearly falls outside of the boundaries of our government. And Ronald Reagan wisely stated the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I am from the government, I am here to help." So I'm asking you to vote no for the Orange Frog Initiative.
Todd Moose.
Commissioners, I am out into the community all the time. I'm a business owner. I'm out there talking to people. I've been asking them, I've been bringing this whole thing up to them. They're aghast at even thinking that our local government is going to tell them what to do with their happiness. I've talked to many that are Christians. They have professed that they are Christians, and they say that happiness does not come from a book. It doesn't come from a frog. It doesn't come from anything other than the Lord Jesus Christ. I've talked to many that say that I'm not a believer, but I do believe that happiness is not coming from a book, and it is a Band-Aid. What this book or what this program would do would be a Band-Aid to if we are truly going after people's health, then and they're the shut-ins and the people that are attempting suicide, this is not the way to do it. This is dangerous. It is dangerous because if we are going to try to administer a little bit of happiness, who's the follow-up? How are we going to follow this up? If you are not going to be there for them in the long term, you are messing with fire. I would suggest vote no.
Okay, Kathleen Peterson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm not comfortable with this in front of people, but I've just had enough, I'm against the Orange Frog Initiative as well, and I would hope you'd vote no against it. That being said, I think it's just basically a fairy tale, something that sounds good, but really doesn't do much. You work for the constituents, correct? So I again say vote no on the Orange Frog.
Gary Lantz.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to once more address the issue of your upcoming decision as to whether or not to move forward with the Orange Frog Initiative, as proposed by International Thought Leaders Network. I would like to encourage you to put your decision on hold for long enough to gain a better understanding of your constituents' points of view in this matter. I believe that it would behoove you to do so in order to avoid any possibility that your vote would be contrary to their desires and wishes. Were that to happen, I am quite certain that it would create an overwhelming public outcry that would have a major impact on the upcoming election of 2022. Another consideration should be that pending full investigation, the possibility of litigation over the fact that you as government officials would be committing a criminal act by promoting and propagating a religion and using taxpayers' dollars to do so would indeed exist. So please, if not for the Isanti County citizens' sake, at least for your own sakes, delay your vote today. I would also suggest that you schedule an open forum meeting to discuss this on an evening so that more of your constituents could attend, so that they would be able to share their thoughts about this with you. You are the servant representatives. Before you make a decision based on your own ideas around this. Thank you.
All right, Susan Heckt.
I spent some time last night talking to one of you about the initiative, the Orange Frog Initiative, and I see that, you know, lots of things could be perceived as real beneficial because we are looking to try to help people. But my concern is over the years, I've seen many things that have come to pass. They look innocent. I was in the healthcare profession, and I started to see trainings come in that were basically rooted in ungodliness and other things. And it seems like as time goes on, people are exposed to different things depending on their age group and where they grew up and all that and their worldview. And as they're exposed to these things, they maybe don't see the whole picture of what's happening. But it seems like this might be one step today, but it could be a leap tomorrow as far as promoting more of the agenda that I see coming down from the federal government that really is very concerning to me. And that's why I'm asking you to vote no on this. So I've looked into it. I've talked to a few people and considered in, you know, my perspective, and I'd appreciate it if you would vote no or consider to move it on until more people can have a chance to take a look at it. Thank you.
Scott LaRoe.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here, I'm not for this Orange Frog business at all, and I'm here to talk about, do you know what love is? Love is an action. The first commandment says to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind. The second commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. Love is an action. When we go to church, we sing and we give worship to the Lord. We're acting in love. When we help our neighbor with whatever problem or need the neighbor has, we help them, and we're showing love. Do you know what love produces? It produces joy, hope, happiness. It only comes from God. It's a Christian Judeo principle. Christ, he gave his life on a cross for us. There's nothing greater than a man that lays his life down for another. He demonstrated incredible love. And Jesus Christ, he's immortal, and Buddha is mortal. He's dead. Christ is alive and he's living. And it's better to serve a living God than an orange idol frog. I pray for each one of you. I pray that each one of you would really highly consider what you're putting before our Lord. Thank you.
Adriana Johnson.
Hello. Yes, I also am opposed, very much against the happiness advantage, and I see it as an overreach of the government to be taking on this, and I agree with all the former comments about this. and also that secular humanism was defined by the Supreme Court as a religion. And so I believe there is a lot more that this county could be using the federal dollars for. I know that it's considered free money, but it's not really free. It's our it's our taxes. And the federal government it's another way that they are using the money that's hard-earned and given to be used responsibly for the benefit of the citizens. And so to use it this way and this county as a test case, to me, is really wrong. And it sets a precedent for not only this county, but other counties, how they see this happening and across this nation. And it's not right to be using the money that's been hard-earned and entrusted to our government to use for the benefit of people. And it shouldn't be used in this way as mental health.
Randy Westerberg.
Good morning. Thanks for this opportunity. I also want to encourage you not to vote for the Frog Initiative. One, I work in the school district as a sub, and there is a Blue Jacket Pride program which is focused on virtues, and I believe it's a good program, and I don't think it would help to add another one. I think it would take away from what's already happening. I think the culture in the school needs to change at some level, but I don't think that the Orange Frog Initiative is the answer. I believe leadership and just I think the whole culture of schools the answer is not the Orange Frog Initiative. We'll just say that. It's got to change in other ways. I don't have all the answers for that, but a little repetitive, but the government, it's not the government's job to promote religion. And so I think that should be very much, I think it would be, if we were spending all this money to promote Christianity in the schools, I wouldn't mind, but I know others would, and I don't think that would be right for the government to do that. Also, I haven't studied what all the teachings are of the Orange Frog Initiative, but I don't think it addresses the issue of shame. And it promotes people to do well, to do good. But what about people who struggle to do good, like all of us? And there's no answer there. And I believe the only answer is Jesus Christ. And I guess that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. And I do hope that you really consider all the voices that you've heard this morning. Thank you.
So for those of you who say this is not government's place to have, the whole place of public health and how we, we deal with people in many different junctures of their life. And usually it's when they're in crisis is when they come to us. And, so I really appreciate, Sarah, the piece that you did about the moving the prevention upstream. That's a really helpful, just a story and a diagram of what we're talking about when we're proposing something like the happiness advantage. Just out of curiosity, how many people in the room have actually have you read the book, The Green Frog Theory? Okay. How many read the happiness advantage? Okay. How many attended the course, the 2-day course that's been offered? Okay. I've done all, and I've spent countless hours researching. Gary, I've read everything you've given us. I went through it with a fine-tooth comb, trying to understand your logic, what you're presenting. So, and there's lots of TED Talks on the internet that I watched also, including the video that you put together, Gary. So, I'm a Christian, and my pastor called me on this. Actually, we had lunch with our pastor a few weeks ago, and we talked about this extensively. And he asked me the question, do you feel like there's anything of any religious connotation in any of the materials that you have been through? I say totally, and I grew up in the church. I know my Bible. I can quote you a lot of scriptures. There's nothing in any of this that promotes a religion at all. I can say that totally without reservation. And so I think, it's, so when you make this connotation that because of how you've conjunctured these things that you put together, you make it into religion, it's like, so I mean, the good thing is it caused me to go back and, okay, let's really look at what is secular humanism and what is the definition of all these things that you put out there. And it, even though we all come from different places in life and we come from different churches, I can guarantee you not everybody in this room agrees with a lot of Christian principles. Without a doubt, I know several people in this room. I've known many of you my whole life. And so to put this all in one bucket saying this is religion, this is evil, and then what it was really offensive to me is when the orange frog got the golden calf. All of a sudden we've elevated something, and when you use that kind of imagery, it is so detrimental, because what's really sad to me, this talks about kindness, helping each other, encouraging each other. There's a lot of communities where this has been done, and there's really great positive outcomes. So kids who were in school districts where there was a lot of truancy and there was a lot of negative health things going on, after they brought this into the school district and they taught the teachers, the bus drivers, the cooks, everybody that interfaced with those children in any way had the training. And it's like, take that moment in time and acknowledge that human being that's in front of you and encourage them. And if it's the bus driver doing it, how cool is that? And all of a sudden, this is a real human being that I might have an imprint on their life. And by me being human and connecting with them, I might change the trajectory of their life. So it's like, how can you take something as innocent and good as that and the principles that are taught in this, and then to all of a sudden make it like it's a religion? It just, I'm sorry, and I honestly have looked at very, very carefully. I've done my homework. I have done my homework, doggone it. And I know a couple other commissioners have too. They've read the books, they've gone to the training, and we take very seriously this job that's in front of us. We take very seriously the children in our community that don't feel that somebody cares about them. If we could invest some of these federal dollars and it makes a difference in some of these kids' lives or in this community, then I think we've done due diligence and we've done something good. We haven't taught a religion, but you know what? As a Christian, I can say that the principles that are taught in this are principles that I have had in my life, my whole life, and I regard them from a Christian perspective. But there's truths in this, that it doesn't have to be rooted in a religious connotation to still be a truth. Kindness and honesty and encouragement and all those kinds of things, they cross over those lines. Yes, they get amplified when they come from a perspective of a heart that sees, and actually Sean Akers said this, and it was one of the things that you had in your stuff there, Gary, but he said, when I see a sunrise, he said, because I have a relationship with the Creator, I appreciate that sunrise at a deeper level than maybe somebody who just says that's a beautiful sunrise. And so, for those of us who are Christians, and that's the deeper part of who we are, I think, that's great. Churches could take this stuff and use it with their children and with their families. And wouldn't it be amazing if we all, I raised 5 children. Excuse me, no, you're not, this public comment is over, sorry. I raised 5 children. There's times that I wish, because I had a very strong, okay, we're gonna give us, dole out the spankings and all that kind of stuff. And there's times I thought, I wish I would have taken more time to appreciate my children when I had them. And really see them as human beings that were really important. And they were. I mean, I lived my whole life. I was a stay-at-home mother, homeschooled some of my children to Christian school. It was very important to us to raise our children in a very, in a way that we felt accountable to God. So I would just say that it's really, really difficult when, I'm not kidding when I say, I think probably every Facebook posting, instant message post, all the stuff that got disseminated eventually came to me. And when all of a sudden I'm being maligned because I may see this from a different perspective than you, and all of a sudden I'm being called ungodly, that's really hurtful. And I don't feel that that was an appropriate use of the word. And so I'm just laying it all on the line because this has all been very troubling. I have spent countless hours on the phone and with people talking to them, trying to explain our perspective, because I feel that there was a misrepresentation that was put out on social media. And when we're told that we're overstepping the bounds, guess what? Maybe, and it took me a few years as a commissioner before I understood all the purview of everything we do as a county. And so maybe you don't understand everything that we're asked to step up to the table to do. Just throw that out there. I think you've heard some very sobering things today that should really cause you to pause and say, hey, we've got a problem in our community and we have some really hurting kids. Guess what, church? You've got a huge mission. We all do. I think we can work together. I see this as working together, not against each other.
Right.
So, that's, I guess, the end of what I wanted to share, but oh, I know one other thing I was just going to share with you, and this is the mother in me. Sorry, you'll have to let me indulge one more minute. But one of the things I used to share with my kids is and this is an old Aesop fable, but, there's a farmer out working his field. Scott, you'll appreciate this. This was back in the day before they had cars and people actually walked places. And so he's out in his field and a guy comes along and, he's like, hey, this next town that I'm going to, what are the people like there? He said, well, what were the people like in the town you just came from? Oh, they were kind, they were good, they were loving, they were accepting. It was a great town. Well, that's exactly what you'll find in the next town that you're going to. A little while later, somebody else comes down the road and he asks the farmer the same question, heading in the same direction. What are the people like in that town that I'm heading to? Well, what were the people like in the town that you just came from? They were hurtful, they were mean, they were liars. Well, that's exactly what you're going to find in the town that you're going to. So my point is, you're going to find exactly what you're looking for. And so, is your glass half full or is it half empty? My glass has always been half full. I am an optimist. I get it. This kind of stuff speaks right to where I lived my whole life. But I think it's a good thing that we can bring to our community. So, anything else?
If I may, since we're going, could we consider this $650,000 going through public health to hire counselors that are actually going to be here, working with this is a one-time. The counselors would be here for at least a year or two to actually deal with the problems we have.
Yes.
As it comes up. That's something we haven't discussed. Another alternative.
Yes.
Would you have any testimonies of alcoholics or drug addicts that would give a testimony to the Orange Frog and how it turned their life around?
That's not the data that at the moment that we would have access to, but I mean, that's not really what the Orange Frog is about.
Well, I mean, we don't want them to be happy.
I don't think we can entertain right now because that'll be akin to a public hearing, so.
Yeah, I
we
agree.
can't engage with the audience.
Yep.
Well, for my 2 cents, I come from a business background. not government business. So I look at things pretty well black and white, and does it make sense to spend the money on it? What are we getting for it? I do know this, when you say, is government's role to make you happy? No, it's not the government's role to make you happy. Government's role is to try to form a society so we all get, work together and get along. I get that's part of our role, but the problem is, it's not our job to make you happy, but it's our job to deal with you when everything's gone wrong in your life. When you're being booked into the jail, when you're, all those other issues that the downstream of the fact, that's where we get brought in. That's where we get to get, and then you come to us, not you guys per se, but they come to us and say, help fix my problems. I get so many phone calls, I've got all these things going wrong and I need you to help me, talk to the cop or talk to the whatever. And it's like, well, it's a little late for that. Had you talked to me before you made 4 bad decisions, I might have been able to steer you on a better path. And I'm not perfect, but whatever. So I look at this as exactly what Sarah laid out. We are trying to help the problem before it becomes a problem. Is it going to solve everybody's problem? Nope. You can solve some. I'm sure hope so. I mean, we've seen, I've taken the class, I've read the books, I've seen the data, and I've seen the positive effects other places they've done it. I'm willing to roll the dice and try, because doing nothing keeps you on the same path you're on. And it's not a good path, folks. We see the data. I talk to the people. I'm in the meetings. There's nothing more depressing than going to an out-of-home placement meeting. Oh my goodness. Because that's the bad end of the downstream. And yet we have to do it. We have to try to rally them and pull them together and pick up the pieces and get them back. It'd be so much easier if they had the tools in the beginning to try to prevent the downstream. So as from my business perspective, I'd rather spend some money up front. I'm already having to deal with it on this end, and that's expensive and it's painful, and I don't even know how productive it is. So if we can do something in the beginning, to me, it's worth a try.
I too agree with statements of Commissioner Turnquist and Commissioner Morris, and as Sarah and Julia have stated, those are the reasons that I would support trying this initiative anyway. To me, one of the principal foundations of life is to help each other. And that's the way I looked at this, is trying to help each other on a public health perspective. And I too went to the workshop. I read all the material, and I feel that this would be something that would be a help to address the current public health situation. And is it out of the box? Yes. I appreciate all the comments that you all have made or emailed, and if I haven't emailed you back, said thanks, I'll say thanks, because that's we need to look at the total picture here, and are these difficult decisions? Yes, I mean it's they're decisions that you gather all the information, and as commissioners, and we try to make the best decision based on the information and that we have and the knowledge we have. Was it successful in other areas, as was mentioned? Yes, that's been proven to us at the workshops that we attended. So the one comment that was made earlier, it is concerning to me that perhaps Jeff, you could address this, but that this could be considered a criminal act if we vote yes on moving forward with this. That's just very concerning to me, to make a statement like that without any foundation and reasoning and explanation how this could be a criminal act. None of us want to make a decision that's criminal in nature. So any particular perspective on that, County Attorney?
Commissioner Anderson, Madam Chair, for approximately 36 years, I have studied the criminal justice system, I have taught the criminal justice system, and I have practiced law in the criminal justice system. I am unaware of any criminal statute that would be violated by the Board of Commissioners voting yes or no on this matter. I saw that statement as hyperbole designed to frighten the board.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I guess I agree with Commissioner Waring. I think this money could be put someplace else in the hands of people that do this. So,
Julie, do you want to talk through the proposal at all, or do you, I know we all have it in front of us.
Yep, so the proposal just includes a lot more training and education and community outreach. The focus is on organizations that are interested in having this training. So far, Alina is interested. I talked to Walker Lavandi yesterday. They're very interested in their staff being trained in this and think that it can be a great help, especially with the senior living homes that we have in our county. So the focus would be first on those organizations that are interested. It's optional if they want to learn about this program and have their staff be trained, and then there'll be more opportunities for community members that are interested in learning more to just be educated. So it's and I will say that we'll evaluate as we go on and see what's working, what isn't working, and continue to change, because this really needs to be a program that's specific to our community and how our community is responding and what we're seeing is successful. But that's the idea, is just a lot more outreach and education and training.
And will we move forward with the professional service agreement of International Thought Process Leaders?
Commissioner Turnquist, can I just ask that you add to your motion to use ARPA funds if that's the request, since that resolution was tabled? We just want to be very clear for the
Sure, and to be
record where
paid
the
for
funding
through our
source is.
federal ARPA funds.
Thank you.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Yes. All right, reading this, you have 1,000 people trained and 2,000 students and family. Is that the total?
That's, I mean, these are estimates, these are goals.
No, it's 650, it's now $650,000, right? And that's going to be used for what's listed here in our summary of costs.
650,000.
So that means 9 one-day workshops, 50 people. And then it's the other listed here. How many times do you expect the instructors to come up here then?
They're committed to as,
Which is needed
yeah.
through that process.
And we're paying each time they're up then?
No, this is the total cost.
cap
of
is
It's gonna be all in this?
The cap is 650.
Okay. I still think that we're spending money, that could be used in public health for.
It's going to be used in public
Yeah,
health.
but the counselors would be with us for a length of time. This comes, it goes. We're counting on all the
Well,
people
the
that
idea is
take it then to
kind of a
pass.
train the trainer model. So the school district that Susan mentioned, they started this initiative in 2015 and they continue to live this. It's been years.
Okay, is our school district positive toward it?
Yes.
So they're going to levy some tax money to pay for it then?
Well, there's potential for some federal funding for certain social
Okay.
emotional learning.
All right, then I guess my last question is if this has been approved and down the road the auditor says that it was not to be because of the way we did it, how do we repay the $650,000?
How do we repay any of the ARPA funds that were spent if they're not approved down the road, even though they're in the guidelines, it's allowed?
Well, we haven't yet, obviously.
We have already from the last round, not ARPA, but the
Well, that was
COVID
last
money.
round, that wasn't this round.
Yeah, and they're more
I'm
liberal with
I'm
this
just
round.
asking
From all
questions,
indications,
obviously,
Mike,
'cause-
this is, it qualifies, correct, Chad? It falls under the allowable under ARPA funding.
That's the ARPA committee met, and that was our understanding that it does fit in the criteria as presented now in the guidance. But as the county administrator noted, there's no guarantee.
No guarantees.
No guarantee I'm gonna get up tomorrow.
Well, yeah, you can say that. I just making sure that we have all the information before it's voted on. And then I would like the board to be polled on the vote.
Oh, don't worry, I was already gonna do that.
Well, I like to say that. It makes me feel
Oh, I know,
important, you know.
I know. As long as you're happy there. we'll-
Well, I'm not happy, obviously.
Commissioner Anderson.
And the
Yeah,
fog
ju-
isn't the answer.
Commissioner Warren, just the numbers anyway, you know, that, just to clarify, that there's the 2,000 students and families, so, you know, do the math there times the number of people in a family, if you're looking at the student body as a whole. But I guess, Julia, just for clarification, I was thinking that the Isanti County Community Coalition would be formed, and part of the goal would be how do you reach the entire
Right.
community as a whole, focusing on first the students and the families, and that's what I understood with
Right,
the initiative anyway.
right.
So
All right, let's do the vote. So all in favor, I'll call each commissioner's name to do the roll call vote. So we'll go in order of, Vice Chair, Commissioner Lundquist.
I am in favor.
Okay, Commissioner Osland,
Against.
Commissioner Waring,
Against.
Commissioner Anderson,
I in favor.
and I am also in favor. So the motion passes.